The first thing men noticed on Iwo Jima wasn't the enemy, it was the island itself. Black, broken, trembling under constant fire, the air smelled of sulfur and burning metal. Every step felt precarious, as if the ground itself was resisting their presence. Some Marines survived by staying low, disappearing into ash and smoke. Others walked forward knowing survival wasn't part of the plan. Among them were the flamethrower operators, young men carrying fuel tanks on their backs, fully aware that a single bullet could end everything in an instant. Out of 380 who went forward, only 18 returned. Their life expectancy wasn't measured in days, not even in hours. For many of them, it came down to 4 minutes. This is the story of the men who stepped into the heart of Iwo Jima with fire on their backs, and almost no chance of coming home. The battle for Iwo Jima began long before the first Marine set foot on its black volcanic sand. Strategically, the island was crucial, a lifeline for bombers returning from Japan. The Japanese defenders recognized its value and transformed every ridge, cliff, and tunnel into a network of lethal defenses. Tunnels twisted deep underground, connecting bunkers that were reinforced with steel and concrete. Firing positions were hidden so well that even careful observation revealed nothing. Every inch of the island became a trap. When the Marines landed on February 19, 1945, the initial silence was almost eerie. It was not peace. It was anticipation, a calm before the storm, a calculated pause that preceded a flood of death. Once the beaches were crowded and movement slowed, the silence shattered. Machine guns, mortars, and artillery erupted from concealed positions. The Marines were exposed at every step. Progress was measured in inches. Volcanic ash swallowed boots, slowed movement, and drained energy. Each ridge revealed another fortified position, and bunkers that appeared destroyed would often re-emerge, returning fire against anyone who approached. In this landscape, flamethrowers became more than weapons. They were often the only way to force defenders from tunnels and fortified positions. Grenades could not reach deep, rifles could not clear twisting corridors, and artillery could not strike what was hidden underground. Yet carrying the flamethrower was more than a technical challenge. It was a personal gamble with life and death. Each operator knew that advancing meant standing out, becoming a target, and facing the possibility that a single bullet could end everything. Despite this, the men moved forward, step by step. Their courage was quiet, not dramatic, but it was the kind that could tip the balance between survival and annihilation. On Iwo Jima, fire became both a weapon and a measure of human endurance. No role on Iwo Jima carried a heavier burden than the flamethrower operator. They led the advance, fully exposed, carrying equipment that made them immediate targets. Pressurized fuel tanks on their backs could erupt with a single bullet. Their presence alone was enough for enemy snipers and machine gunners to focus all attention. The Japanese defenders understood the threat flamethrowers posed. These weapons could reach tunnels and bunkers that no other armament could touch. Operators were hunted relentlessly. Snipers memorized their shapes, and gunners tracked the plumes of smoke to time their shots perfectly. Statistics reveal the brutal reality. 380 operators entered the battle. Only 18 survived. Infantrymen tried to shield them with suppressive fire, but the chaos of Iwo Jima offered no guarantees. Sometimes an operator had to advance alone, stepping across ash and rubble toward a bunker that could kill him in seconds. The weapon they carried marked them as vital, yet it also marked them for death. The courage of these men was quiet. It was not about heroics shouted across a battlefield. It was steady, unwavering, essential. They carried a weapon no one else wanted, and the lives of their fellow Marines depended on them. The operators moved under extreme pressure. Every step could be the last. Every bunker approached was a potential tomb, and yet they continued. They pushed forward through fear, exhaustion, and relentless enemy fire. Their bravery shaped the battle in ways numbers alone cannot express. The M2 flamethrower was a complex and demanding machine. When fully loaded, it weighed roughly 70 pounds. 2 fuel tanks and a pressure tank secured on a metal frame worn like a backpack. A hose connected the tanks to a handheld wand with a trigger and ignition system. Firing sent a stream of burning fuel up to 40 yards, enough to reach deep into tunnels and bunkers. Using it required focus, courage, and physical endurance. The weapon produced heat intense enough to blister clothing, thick smoke that obscured vision, and a roar that drowned out all other sounds. Each burst lasted only a few seconds, forcing operators dangerously close to enemy positions. The flamethrower had flaws. The tanks could rupture if hit. The ignition system sometimes failed. Its weight threw off balance, slowing movement and making retreat difficult. Even refueling exposed operators to enemy fire. Yet on Iwo Jima, the M2 was indispensable. No grenade, rifle, or artillery could reach the depths of the fortified positions the Japanese had prepared. The flamethrower was a tool of necessity, imperfect, dangerous, but effective. For the men who carried it, the challenge was as much mental as physical. Every step forward was a confrontation with death. Every successful operation required concentration, skill, and an acceptance of risk few could imagine. Despite the danger, the flamethrower became essential to the island's conquest. It turned the tide in situations where ordinary weapons failed, and the men who bore it did so knowing that survival was never guaranteed. Herschel Woody Williams survived Iwo Jima, becoming one of the most remarkable examples of what flamethrower operators endured. He wasn't chosen for strength or speed, but for determination, a quality that often meant the difference between life and death on the island. Williams's unit was pinned by reinforced pillboxes, each covering the others. Every attempt to advance led to casualties. Traditional weapons failed, progress halted, and frustration mounted. Williams volunteered to go forward alone. With riflemen providing what cover they could, he moved from bunker to bunker through smoke, ash, and incoming fire. He crawled across open ground with his tanks fully exposed. His fuel ran low multiple times, yet he pressed on. His actions neutralized multiple enemy positions, clearing the way for his unit to advance. Years later, he spoke not of heroism, but of responsibility and fear, and of the weight of the job. His Medal of Honor recognized not destruction, but determination. It honored the act of giving fellow Marines a fighting chance. Williams's story reflects countless operators whose names history may never know, yet whose courage shaped the battle. Losses among flamethrower operators were devastating. Commanders realized the role could not continue as it was. The solution arrived in steel. Flamethrower-equipped tanks were introduced, machines designed to survive what no human could. Their armor protected the fuel system, and their reach exceeded handheld weapons. They could clear fortified structures from a safer distance. The transition was complex. Tanks had to navigate mined ground under concealed guns and across rough terrain. Infantry had to coordinate perfectly with armor under constant fire. Mistakes meant death. Gradually, machines assumed the most dangerous work. Young Marines no longer needed to carry fuel tanks across open ground in the front line. For those who survived to see them in action, relief came alongside exhaustion. The danger had not disappeared, but lives that would have been lost were spared. After 36 days of brutal fighting, Iwo Jima was secured. The cost was staggering. Nearly 7,000 American Marines were killed. More than 20,000 Japanese defenders fought to the last. The island itself was left shattered, black sand, broken rock, and silence where thousands had struggled. For flamethrower operators, the emotional burden lasted long after the war ended. Survivors carried memories of the weapon they bore, the missions they completed, and the friends they lost. Their role was essential, but it came at a permanent cost. Still, their actions shaped the outcome of the battle. They opened paths no one else could. They neutralized defenses that had stopped entire units. Victory was achieved not by numbers alone, but by courage, sacrifice, and determination under impossible odds. Iwo Jima remains a symbol of endurance, a place where the youngest Marines faced some of the most extreme combat of the war. It is a testament to quiet bravery, the kind that often goes unseen but changes everything. The flamethrower operators of Iwo Jima faced a mission almost no one expected them to survive. Their courage shaped one of the war's most brutal battles, yet many of their stories faded over time. If you believe their lives deserve to be remembered, if you want more stories brought back from the edge of being forgotten, subscribe to The Lost Record. Together, we'll keep their voices alive.